Hello, Arkansas Junior High tuba players. I'm Dr. Jamie Lipton from Henderson State University, and this is our video for Etude number 46. Okay, here is our Etude number 46. And before we begin, make sure that you have your measures numbered. I've done it with my black pen. There are 16 measures in the piece, so make sure you get that exact number. After you're done with that, you can copy in the breath marks that I've made for you. The ones in parentheses are optional. And may be useful if you're doing some very slow practicing. And then the ones outside of parentheses that don't have parentheses are ones that I recommend for practicing and performance. Okay. And finally, you can copy the dynamics I've written for you, since there is only just the lone piano at the beginning of the piece. So very boring to play piano for 16 bars. So go ahead and make sure you do some dynamics, even if they're not the ones that I wrote. Okay. Once you've gotten all that written in, we will start with our time signature, which is 3/4. That means that there are 3 beats in each measure, 1, 2, 3. So if you find yourself counting 4, you have done something wrong. And the quarter note is what gets the beat, like usual. Okay. Our key signature is a whopper. We've got 5 flats: B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Now those first 2 are very memorable. We always remember B flat and E flat. A flat, you might want to be careful because we sometimes will forget and play an A natural. And D flat and G flat are the ones you're most likely to forget. So you might even go through your music and start marking some of them. Make sure that's a D flat, make sure that's a G flat, etc., etc. Okay, because those notes are very easy to forget. Incidentally, 5 flats is the key signature for D flat major. And I know that sounds scary because there's 5 flats in it, but D flat major is actually my favorite scale to play. It just feels really good for your hand. The valve combinations are just really nice. So I highly recommend that you practice D flat major, remembering your D flat and G flat, because it will help you learn this piece, right, with all these flats in it. As far as accidentals, we don't really have a lot because almost all of the notes are already flat. Here in measure 11, we start seeing a couple of G naturals, which you know are 1 and 2. That's a very common note for everybody on tuba, but they just have to make that natural because the G is flat in the key signature. Okay. Here in measure 13, you see a G flat, so we go back to 2 and 3. That's what's called a courtesy accidental, because it says, hey, a bar ago we had a G natural, so we're just going to remind you that we're back to flat now because we're in a different measure. Okay, so those are the only accidentals we see in this piece. Let's talk about articulations. Okay, there are no slurs. Everything is going to be tongued. Make sure that you tongue your 16th notes and even your 8th notes very lightly, so they're da 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 rather than da 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 da. So we get a nice light feel to this. If you play everything long, it's going to feel more weighed down. Dynamics. There's only the piano at the beginning, so I've written some other dynamics, and I've taken kind of a liberty because I do have a few fortes in here, but I think that's going to make this etude a lot more interesting than if you just played the entire thing piano. As always, if your band director wants you to do something else, please do what they tell you to do. All right, we're going to go ahead and count at our practice tempo of quarter equals 40 or 8th note equals 80, right? Those are actually the same tempo. It's just if you're at 40, you're only going to get 1, 2, 3. But if you're on the 8th note at 80, you're going to hear 1 and 2 and 3 and. And with a lot of 16th notes, and we're practicing at a very slow tempo so that we make sure we get those right, it's nice to have the 8th note on when you have the metronome on, all right, so that we hear more parts of the beats. Okay, so instead of 1, 2, 3, you will hear 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay. Here's 80. Incidentally, the performance tempo for this piece I have written as quarter note equals 80, so it will be exactly twice as fast as we're going to count right now, okay? So remember, we're counting the 8th note. 1, ready, and go. 1 E and a 2, 3, and. 1 E and a 2 and 3. 1 E and a 2, 3, and. 1 E and a 2 and 3. Okay, so that was measures 1 through 4. Make sure when you're counting that you wait 2 clicks on each quarter note, because we are counting the 8th note and the quarter note gets 2 8th notes. Okay, so now we're going to start at measure 5 and go to the downbeat of measure 9. And ready, go. 1 E and a 2, 3 and 1 E and a 2, 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1. Okay, so now we're going to start at measure 9 and go through measure 12. Okay, so just those 4 measures. Here we go. And ready, go. 1, 2 E and a 3 and 1 and 2 E and a 3. 1, 2 E and a 3 and 1 and 2 E and a 3. Okay. All right, finally, we will count from measure 13 to the end, okay? Make sure you hold this last note into beat 3, even though it's a rest. You got 1, 2, off, okay? Don't cut that note short. Here is measure 13 to 16. Here we go. And ready, go. 1, 2, and 3 E and a 1, 2 and 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 1. Okay, that's holding all the way to beat 3. Okay, now that we've counted it, we will go ahead and play it. Okay, now my tuba student, Fraser Cowan, is going to play etude number 46 for you at our practice tempo of 8th note equals 80. And remember, when we have the metronome on the 8th notes, the quarter notes will get 2 clicks, and the half notes will get 4 clicks. Okay, here we go. 1, and ready, go. That concludes our video. I hope it helped you. Thanks for watching and happy practicing.